Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel and thanks for logging on. If you enjoy these videos, do me a favor and subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Watchbox Reviews. I would really appreciate it, and I promise to update daily. If you love this watch, well, I'm a fan of the brand. I'm doing this because I love the HYT folks and I believe in their product. Check out hytwatches.com and their entire collection of hydromechanical timepieces. And that's exactly what we're doing here today. I'm talking about a watch I like on behalf of a brand I love. I want these guys to succeed. With only a few hundred watches made per year, they are not for everybody, but for those who love mechanical exception, I can't think of a better way to get into independent horology than HYT. The watches are bold, there's no doubt about that. You can see this one is large, HYT H2 Aviator, a 50-piece limited series from 2015. Black DLC titanium means that the 48.8mm case actually wears light on my wrist. Now there's also an H20, which is a lugless version of this watch, so definitely check to find the one that's right for you. What I can tell you is that you could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference because it is very light and ergonomically it's well formed. As you can see, the lugs are short, stubby, and essentially end at the edge of my wrist. It is a thick timepiece at 18.1mm and it is broad at 56.6mm across the wrist, but again, don't let the size dissuade you. This is a timepiece that's actually quite wieldy on the wrist. 25mm spacing between the lugs means that HYT has nailed the design with a proportional lug spacing to match the size of the case so the watch doesn't appear wasp-waisted where it joins the strap. Now, the strap on this one is in keeping with the Aviator theme. This is not a pilot's watch, nor is it HYT's take on the pilot's watch. Rather, it's a watch that channels the fascination of flight, the aesthetic of a stealth fighter or a stealth bomber, and a lot of the mechanical fascination, the gearhead factor that draws a lot of folks, armchair aviators like you and me, to aviation. And you can see that the strap is made of Kevlar with a contrasting red stitch. It is a lovely aramid-style synthetic that's effectively indestructible. You're not going to wear or tear that strap on the wrist. It's calfskin on the underside, and you can see HYT providing a factory strap to match and a double trigger deploying clasp. You can see titanium and blackened just like the watch itself. It features a minderless system, so it's almost like a little garage where you tuck the strap in, you size it, you clamp it, and then there are no minder loops or excess length flapping in the breeze to detract from the clean aesthetic of the watch. Jumping back to the watch itself, you can see that HYT decided that the best way to portray such a large watch on the wrist was to nip and tuck it, and also contrast between the polish of the case and the satin finishes. As you can see, the sides are slightly hollowed, relieved, and evacuated, with the contrast between the curvature of the caseband and the angularity of the lugs, as well as the polish of the bevels and the satin finish of the inner relieved case flank. The lugs are highly angular, thrusting, and strong, and you can see the crown as well as a deflector structure, slightly off-centered. It's at where you would conventionally have approximately 245 on the dial of a conventional watch. Now, this is the H2, there is an H1. The primary difference between the two being the level of finish and mechanical sophistication, as the H1 features a movement that was largely developed by Chronode, and the H2 features a movement that was developed and finished by Audemars Piguet Renaud Papi. So this is an Audemars Piguet Renaud Papi movement, just like you'll find in the Royal Oak concepts, just like you'll find in the high-end Richard Mille timepieces. Now, all of this is housed under a dramatically box section sapphire that has a wonderful 3D prism-like factor, and you can see the dial is anchored by a Arabic numeral 6 that arcs over the root of the two fluidic displays. Now, the watch, although unconventional, is a regulator, one of the most traditional of horological forms. What I want to show you is how the watch is both regulator and retrograde. You read the radial minutes, we're going to get close one more time. You read the radial minutes via the hand at center, and by the way, look at the structure, the motion works that supports the operation of that hand. You also have, as with the Royal Oak concepts, a function indicator. This is a feature that many high-end APRP movements have. Audemars Piguet, HYT, as well as Richard Mille feature the crown function indicator. Now I am in setting mode. So as I move that regulator minutes display down, you could see how it jumps across the interval at 6 o'clock. And as I reach the end of the travel, there's the jump, you can see how the hour display, you can see how there are Arabic numerals adjacent to the meniscus. There are two immiscible liquids. One is clear, one is green. Each one has its own bellows tank that contains it and drives it. It rapidly retrogrades back to the start of its 12-hour cycle. So it even says start right at the beginning with a yellow arrow and yellow text. That is the return, and indeed that's what it's doing. And it's a bit of a shock to see something that is essentially a modern-day clepsydra moving so quickly. You'll also note that the minute scale is a suspended sapphire with the quarters in red with a white outline, as you might find on a pilot-style watch. Let me show you the jump of the minutes hand, because it too has an animated action across the bottom of the dial. Now, getting close one more time, you can see the details of the caliber HYT 201. Like a V-twin on a Harley or Ducati, it would be an L-twin on a Ducati, I suppose. You have twin cylinders. Each one is a bellows system. There is allowance for expansion and contraction due to change in temperature. And then you can see that there are actually cam systems that drive these two bellows. They are turned by the twin mainspring barrels that endow the watch with an 8-day power reserve, the 28-joule handmade, hand-finished movement, beaten away at 21,600 vibrations per hour. You can see it has a Baroque click and click spring, and an ingenious feature that prevents you from accidentally overwinding this manual wind watch. It will simply slip and disengage. It is a limited edition of 50 pieces. You can see individual numbered, ghosted, and silk screened under the case back. APRP finish throughout. All of this 50 meters water resistant. You can see on the dial side that the balance is immense, beaten away at that stately 3 Hertz. It features both a free-sprung architecture and a full balance for shock resistance, and as you can see, it features an overcoil hairspring handmade for excellent positional timekeeping, so it'll beat concentrically and keep good time, neither accelerating nor decelerating in any position. So, to sum it all up, you have a watch that captures the techie spirit of the coolest aircraft in service today. It's a regulator, a retrograde, it's independent horology from a brand that makes just a few hundred pieces, and it is a Baroque display of technical sophistication and innovative design. This is a dial that's as deep as they come. As you can look diagonally into this dial, it's almost like glancing into the engine bay of an automobile or into the dense tangle underneath the cowl of a P-47 Thunderbolt, an F-4U Corsair, a Supermarine Spitfire, or a Curtiss P-40. Then again, with an aesthetic like this, we may as well just say it out loud. This thing's a stealth bomber. Loaded with features, right down to the temperature gauge at approximately 9:30 on the dial. I feel I should probably end with an explanation of the temperature range, because it's the most commonly asked question with this watch. Officially, HYT rates it for between 32 degrees Fahrenheit and 122 degrees Fahrenheit. And you've got that little white and blue go, no-go temperature gauge. But here's the thing. In practice, the watch is far more resilient, as HYT has found that when actually worn on the wrist will cool the watch in extreme hot and warm the watch in extreme cold. So as long as the watch is on the wrist, it effectively has no limit to how high or how low a temperature it can withstand. You can see and purchase this and every HYT watch over at hytwatches.com. The Loom Shot HYT H2. They've got a sense of humor.